No gluten, no problem. Even if you don't follow a gluten-free diet, chances are you know someone who does, but the need to go gluten-free doesn't erase the cravings for all of those yummy baked goods. We've got the solution. Lindsey McSwain is here, sharing her go-to gluten-free products to make delicious homemade gluten-free cookies, which I understand you're kind of famous for. True? Just own it. Just own it. What inspired you to dive into gluten-free baking?
So my next door neighbor is gluten-free, and I noticed every Sunday at church when the leaders would bring cookies, myself, she'd always pass, and I'm like, duh, Presley's gluten-free.
Yeah.
So I went to the store that one week, and I baked her a dozen gluten-free cookies and brought them over to her, and she and her family just loved them. Like, I was shocked. They were just so happy to have gluten-free cookies in Kaysville that
it became a thing.
it just became, yeah.
You now take orders.
Yes.
You customize your cookie recipe, your gluten-free recipe, and people are loving it. First of all, can I just compliment you on noticing, right? Like noticing that someone was missing out, and then taking it upon yourself to help find a solution and show that support. I'm sure she was so grateful.
Yes, and it was just, I was so happy to be able to do it.
Yeah. So now gluten-free, it's not a need for you or your family.
No.
But it's definitely a need, and I think everyone can find themselves or relate to that situation where you want to serve or show up for someone who's in that case. Well, you found some good ingredients that help support kind of the delicious side of baking while also honoring the gluten-free need, right?
Yes, yes. So I just take like my normal cookie recipe, like any normal chocolate chip cookie recipe, and these are the two flours that I love to use.
Okay, tell us.
So it's measure to measure. So if you're using 2 cups in your regular cookie recipe, then you use 2 cups of this.
Okay.
So you just switch out gluten flour.
Easy.
For this. Everything else stays the same.
What's the second flour that you like?
So the second, it's still measure to measure. It's just a different brand. I use them both. It just depends on what the grocery store has. I get this on Amazon. I get these at the grocery store. I haven't been able to find this at the grocery store, so it just depends which one I have, but they both taste great.
So measure to measure is kind of a category, right? Or I guess a marketing line we can look for if we want that easy swap.
Yes, yes, it will always say measure to measure on it. There's tons of different gluten-free flours, but the measure to measure, you can just swap out, use the same amount, and everything else is.
And I know products are getting better, and as you said, way more accessible now than they used to be even like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Do you find with flour, is that something you're going to notice, a taste difference?
There is a little bit of a taste difference with gluten-free. It's a little bit grainier, I would say.
Does that come from the flour specifically?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
But I actually prefer the gluten-free.
Really?
Now, when I'm baking, I'm like, my husband doesn't love the gluten-free, but I'm like, well, I'll eat them. Like, I think they're delicious.
Pass them my way. You probably
and they are always prettier.
Oh, really? How so? Just smoother, or?
They bake up prettier than a regular flour.
I'm sure there's a science fact behind that observation. All right, a few other gluten-free products that you use often in your baking. Point us, if you will, in the right direction.
Yeah, so I love this gluten-free caramel. I love to top off a regular chocolate chip cookie with salt and that caramel.
Where are you getting that caramel?
So I also get that on Amazon. I know that they do have it at some of the health food stores.
Okay, but thank you, Amazon.
Yes, Amazon to the rescue always.
Eating lifestyle a little easier. What else are you using?
So Nutella and peanut butter is always a good option for gluten-free too.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, but that drizzle, that effect, that gives you kind of the extra flavor.
Yeah, it does.
Any other tips or tricks that you've learned in your kind of self-quest to conquer gluten baking?
There's just lots of gluten-free options, and if you don't know, like I didn't know that these Butterfingers were gluten-free, it will always say it on the package, and if you're not sure, there's tons of websites to look it up, or if you have a gluten-free friend, like my little neighbor Presley, if I have a question, I'm like, is this gluten-free? Is this gluten-free? Can I do this? But there's also lots of options at the stores.
Isn't it great that it's gotten so much more?
It really is, like whole aisles and sections.
Chocolate chips, are those gluten-free?
Yeah, I think most chocolate chips are gluten-free. I love the Ghirardelli, but I do love the Kroger brand, which does say gluten-free on it.
Gluten-free, again, that packaging helps us out as well, right? We feel a little more safe and comfortable about what we're bringing into the kitchen and serving to friends and family. Thank you for sharing your little journey. Where can we see more of the cookies and treats that you bake?
I'm on Instagram as Just Add Chips.
Just Add Chips, clever. Super clever, nice to meet you.
You too, thank you.